Aisha stood outside her beauty parlor, fastening the last lock on the door. She inhaled deeply, savoring the lingering scent of shea butter and dried roses, but something made her hesitate before stepping into her carriage. A shift in the air. A presence just beyond her sight. And then, she saw her. A girl, no older than 18, sitting hunched beneath the shed across the street. Silent. Still. Watching. Her clothes were torn, her arms wrapped tightly around a small bag, as if it held the last pieces of a life she had lost. Aisha's chest tightened. She had seen beggars before, but not like this. This girl was not just hungry, she was hiding. From what, or from whom, Aisha did not yet know. She turned away. She had a home waiting, a husband she loved, a life full of comfort. This was not her problem. But the girl was there the next night. And the next. And the next. Until finally, Aisha made a decision. One that would unravel everything she thought she knew. One that would welcome something into her home, something she could never send away. Aisha, known for her skilled hands that transformed plain faces into breathtaking works of art, owned the most prestigious beauty parlor in the region. Women traveled from neighboring towns just to have their faces painted by her, while her husband Malik, a determined man who once struggled with nothing but a dream, had risen to become the owner of Zubora's grandest construction firm. Their love was a legend, whispered in admiration, envied by many, tested by none. Yet, fate was a silent weaver, stitching twists and turns into the fabric of their existence in ways they never anticipated. Aisha and Malik had everything, except the one thing their hearts longed for most, a child. Years had passed, and the whispers began, the subtle glances at Aisha's flat stomach, the unsolicited advice from elders who urged Malik to take another wife. But Malik was unwavering. Aisha is my wife, my backbone. I will not betray her, he declared whenever questioned. And so, their love remained unshaken, their bond stronger than steel, until the day a shadow appeared on their doorstep, a beggar girl who would change everything. It began on a humid evening when Aisha was closing her beauty shop. The scent of shea butter and dried roses lingered in the air as she fastened the locks, adjusting the veil that framed her delicate face. That was when she noticed the girl, a frail figure perched on a wooden bench under the shed beside her shop. The girl was young, no older than 18, dressed in rags, her arms wrapped around a small travel bag as if it were her only possession. Something about her hollow eyes, the way her body shrank into itself, made Aisha pause. Was she lost? Had she run away from home? But the girl was not begging, nor did she call out for help. Aisha, though moved, dismissed the sight and drove home. The next day, the girl was still there. And the next. And the next. By the fourth day, curiosity gnawed at Aisha. The girl was not just dirty, she was wounded. Bruises marred her skin, her frame thin as though she had been denied food for days. Aisha approached cautiously. My dear, you have been here for days. Are you lost? The girl's lips trembled, but she said nothing. Aisha tried again. Where is your family? Where do you live? No answer, only a bowed head and silent tears sliding down her cheeks. Aisha's heart clenched. Have you eaten? A small shake of the head. Without hesitation, Aisha bought food from the vendor nearby and watched as the girl devoured it like a starved animal. Only after the last morsel was gone did she whisper her name, Fatima. Aisha did not sleep that night. The girl's sorrow lingered in her thoughts, and when dawn arrived, her decision was made. That evening, she took Fatima home. Malik's reaction was immediate. Aisha, you brought a stranger into our home. His brows furrowed in concern. You don't know her story, where she comes from. But Aisha was determined. She has nowhere else to go, Malik. We have been blessed, how can I turn my back on someone so helpless? Reluctantly, Malik agreed, and just like that, Fatima became part of their household. For weeks, Fatima was the perfect guest. She was obedient, helping with chores before Aisha could even ask. She was thoughtful, brewing tea when Malik returned from work, arranging Aisha's beauty tools in the neatest rows. Aisha grew fond of her, treating her like the little sister she never had, while Malik, though still wary, began to trust. They bought her new clothes, gifted her books, and Aisha even promised to train her in the art of makeup so she could have a future. For the first time in a long time, Aisha felt whole. But Fatima had other plans. Her eyes were never on the mirror, never on the beauty brushes Aisha taught her to use. They were on Malik. She watched him with an intensity that sent shivers down Aisha's spine when she caught glimpses of it. She wore veils thinner than modesty allowed, moved through the house with the grace of a seductress, her footsteps deliberately light when Malik was around. At first, Aisha ignored it, convinced it was harmless, that Fatima was just young, naive. Until the night Malik came to her with unease in his voice. Aisha, I need you to talk to Fatima. Aisha blinked. About what? Malik hesitated. The way she behaves. The way she dresses when you're not home. The way she looks at me. Aisha's heart pounded. You're imagining things, she said, though doubt clawed at her mind. Malik shook his head. I know the look of a woman who wants something forbidden. The words unsettled Aisha. The next morning, she entered Fatima's room and sat beside her. Fatima, I want to talk to you. Fatima, folding a scarf with slow precision, looked up. Yes, Auntie. You are a beautiful girl, but in this house, I need you to be mindful of how you carry yourself, Aisha said gently. Malik is a good man, but there must be respect. Modesty. For a long moment, Fatima said nothing. Then, she smiled. A smile so small yet so full of hidden meanings that a cold unease crept into Aisha's bones. That night, as Aisha lay beside her husband, she could not shake the feeling that something had shifted. She had welcomed Fatima into their home, giving her a second chance at life, but had she just invited destruction instead? The days in Zubora flowed like the slow-moving river that bordered the village, steady and unchanging, but within the grand home of Aisha and Malik, an invisible storm brewed beneath the surface, unseen by those who merely glanced. To the villagers, Aisha and Malik were a beacon of love, a marriage built on trust and unbreakable loyalty. But behind the thick wooden doors of their household, something was shifting, something delicate and dangerous, the kind of shift that happened in silence, so silent that by the time one noticed, it was already too late. Fatima was no longer just a guest. She was a presence, a force slowly weaving herself into the very fabric of the home, her footsteps light as whispers, her smile ever soft, ever knowing. Aisha had brought her in with the purest of intentions, had clothed her, fed her, given her comfort where there had been none. And yet, every night, as she lay beside her husband, a seed of doubt grew in the spaces between her thoughts. It was the way Fatima lingered too long in the living room when Malik returned from work. The way her eyes followed him, her lips curling ever so slightly when she greeted him. The way she never flinched when his voice boomed in the house, as though she were studying him, memorizing him. Aisha tried to ignore it. Perhaps she was being paranoid. Perhaps it was all in her head. But Malik saw it too. One evening, as the sky blushed with the colors of dusk, Malik returned home and found Fatima alone in the courtyard, humming a tune as she swept the ground. She looked up as he passed, her eyes locking onto his. "Welcome home, uncle," she said, her voice smooth, carrying an undercurrent he could not name. He only nodded, quickening his steps. Something felt off. At dinner, as Aisha served the meal, Fatima took her usual seat at the far end of the table. But tonight, she did not eat in silence as she usually did. Instead, she spoke. "Uncle Malik," she said, her tone casual, her eyes shining with something unreadable. "Did anyone ever tell you that you remind them of a king? The way you walk, the way you command a room." The words were light, harmless on the surface, but Malik felt a chill creep up his spine. Aisha, spoon midair, froze. The air in the room shifted. Malik cleared his throat, forcing a chuckle. "Is that so? Aisha is the ruler here, not me." He reached for Aisha's hand, squeezing it lightly, as if to ground himself. Fatima only smiled. The days continued, but Aisha no longer felt comfortable in her own home. She noticed the way Fatima began to change, subtly, but deliberately. Her clothes became more fitted, her hair more carefully arranged. She lingered when she should have moved, her presence felt even when she was silent. It was no longer just paranoia. It was something real. Something undeniable. And yet, what could Aisha do? She had welcomed this girl, had taken her in, had clothed her, had given her safety. She could not simply turn her out. But the fear inside her was real, and it curled around her like vines in the dark. One night, Malik came to her, his face troubled. "Aisha," he whispered as they lay in bed, the oil lamp casting flickering shadows across the ceiling. "Something is not right. I don't trust her." Aisha turned to him, her chest tightening. "I know," she admitted. "I see it too." Malik hesitated. "Then send her away. Before it's too late." Aisha's breath caught. The thought of sending Fatima back into the streets after bringing her into their home, it felt cruel, heartless. And yet, she could not deny the unease crawling up her spine. "Let's give it a little more time," she murmured, not knowing that time was the very thing they no longer had. The following morning, Aisha sat Fatima down in the courtyard, the sound of birds filling the spaces between them. "Fatima, I want to talk to you about something important," she said, choosing her words carefully. Fatima tilted her head, her expression calm, expectant. "Yes, Auntie." Aisha inhaled. "I think it's time we start planning your future. You're young, you have your whole life ahead of you. Malik and I can help you find a place, help you start fresh." Fatima's gaze darkened, just for a fraction of a second, before she smiled. "You want me to leave?" Aisha hesitated. "It's not about that, my dear. It's about what's best for you." Fatima's fingers curled into the fabric of her dress. Then, she looked up, her eyes unreadable. "I understand, Auntie." She stood, dusting off her skirt. "Thank you for everything you have done for me." Her voice was soft, obedient. Too obedient. That night, as Aisha lay beside Malik, she exhaled in relief. It was over. Fatima had accepted the decision without resistance. Perhaps she had misjudged her after all. Perhaps she had let her fears get the best of her. But as she drifted into sleep, a sound echoed through the quiet house. A soft rustling. Footsteps. Then, her bedroom door creaked open. Aisha's eyes flew open. The room was pitch black, but she could feel it. A presence. A shift in the air. Someone was inside. Then came the whisper. "Auntie Aisha." Aisha's breath hitched. She turned her head slowly, and her blood ran cold. Standing at the foot of the bed, silhouetted against the faint glow of the oil lamp, was Fatima. Her eyes gleamed, her lips curled in a slow, knowing smile. Aisha reached for Malik, shaking him awake, her voice barely above a whisper. "Malik, wake up." But before Malik could stir, Fatima took a step forward, her bare feet soundless against the floor. "Auntie Aisha," she murmured again. "Are you sure you want me to leave?" silence that followed Fatima's whisper clung to the room like a thick fog, suffocating and unrelenting. Aisha's fingers tightened around Malik's arm as she forced herself to breathe, her pulse a frantic drumbeat in her ears. Malik, now fully awake, sat up abruptly, his eyes narrowing as they locked onto the figure standing at the foot of their bed. Fatima did not move. The flickering light from the oil lamp cast long shadows across her face, her features half hidden in the darkness. "Auntie Aisha," she repeated, her voice deceptively soft, "are you sure you want me to leave?" The way she said it, the way her lips curved just slightly as she spoke, sent a shiver racing down Aisha's spine. It was not the voice of a lost girl, not the voice of someone abandoned and grateful to have been taken in. It was something else. Something dangerous. Malik's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Fatima, go back to your room. Right now." Fatima's eyes flickered toward him, her expression unreadable. For a moment, she did nothing. Then, with a slow, deliberate turn, she walked out of the room without another word, her footsteps vanishing into the silence of the house. The moment she was gone, Aisha let out a shaky breath, her hands trembling as she clutched the sheets. "Malik," she whispered, her voice laced with fear, "did you see that? Did you hear how she—" "I saw it," Malik interrupted, his jaw tight. He swung his legs over the side of the bed, standing as he rubbed a hand over his face. "That girl is dangerous, Aisha. I don't care what we promised, we have to get her out of this house. Tomorrow. First thing." Aisha hesitated. The logical part of her agreed. But something about the way Fatima had spoken, it felt like a warning. As if pushing her out would come at a cost neither of them were prepared to pay. The next morning, Aisha found Fatima in the kitchen, humming softly as she prepared breakfast. She moved gracefully, every action calculated, as if nothing had happened the night before. When Aisha entered, Fatima turned to her with a smile that did not reach her eyes. "Good morning, Auntie. Would you like tea?" Aisha swallowed. "Fatima, we need to talk." Fatima set down the teapot with an eerie sense of calm. "About last night." Aisha's breath hitched. The casual way she said it, as if it were nothing at all, made the room feel smaller. Suffocating. "Yes," Aisha said carefully. "Malik and we think it's time for you to start your own life. We want to help you, but we can't keep you here." For a moment, Fatima simply stared. Then, she exhaled slowly, a sound almost like amusement. "I see." She nodded, though her smile remained. "I should have known this would happen." She took a step closer, the scent of cinnamon and something faintly metallic lingering around her. "Auntie Aisha, have you ever wondered what your life would be like without me?" The question sent a cold shock through Aisha's veins. "What are you talking about?" Fatima tilted her head, her eyes dark, unreadable. "What if Malik didn't love you as much as you think? What if you weren't his only choice?" Her voice was soft, but every word was a dagger. "What if you never had a place in this house to begin with?" Aisha's breath hitched, anger rising in her chest. "You're crossing a line, Fatima." Fatima only smiled. "Am I?" Aisha's hands clenched at her sides. "Enough. Gather your things. You're leaving today." Fatima's smile faltered for the first time. A flicker of something dark passed over her face, but it was gone just as quickly as it appeared. "If that's what you want, Auntie Aisha." But the moment Aisha turned away, a whisper ghosted through the air. "Be careful what you wish for." The day passed in uneasy tension. Malik hired a carriage to take Fatima away, giving her money and supplies to start fresh elsewhere. She accepted it without protest, though there was something unnerving about how quiet she was. Too quiet. When the moment came for her to leave, she turned to Aisha one last time. "Goodbye, Auntie. I'll never forget all you've done for me. The words should have sounded grateful. They didn't. They sounded final. Then, she was gone. That night, Aisha and Malik sat in their living room, exhaustion weighing heavy on their shoulders. It's over, Malik said, exhaling deeply. She's gone. Aisha nodded, though a strange unease coiled in her stomach. Yes. She's gone. And yet, the house did not feel empty. Something lingered in the air, unseen but present. A shadow in the corners of the room. A whisper just beyond hearing. And then, somewhere in the house, a door creaked open. The moment the door creaked open, Aisha's breath caught in her throat. Malik, seated beside her, tensed, his eyes snapping toward the hallway. The house was still. Too still. Aisha slowly rose from the couch, her heartbeat pounding in her ears. Malik, did you hear that? Malik stood, his jaw clenched. Stay here. I'll check. He reached for the lantern on the table, his grip firm around the handle. The warm glow of the flame flickered against the walls as he stepped forward. Aisha wanted to protest, to tell him not to go, but the words never left her lips. Something about the air had shifted, thickened with an unseen weight. He disappeared down the corridor, his footsteps muffled against the woven rug. Aisha listened, counting the seconds. Then, the silence was broken by Malik's voice, sharp and stuttered. Aisha. Come here. Her blood ran cold. She hurried toward him, her bare feet cool against the tiled floor. When she reached the doorway of their bedroom, she saw Malik standing stiffly, his face shadowed by the dim light of the lantern. His gaze was fixed on the center of the bed. Aisha followed his eyes, and froze. Lying on the bed, as if it had never been removed, was Fatima's scarf. The very one she had worn the day she left. Aisha's breath came in sharp gasps. How? Her voice barely formed the word. Malik's fingers clenched around the lantern. This isn't possible. She left. I saw her leave. Aisha reached out hesitantly, her fingers brushing against the fabric. It was cold. Not the way cloth should be, but cold like something dead. A shiver crawled up her spine. She grabbed the scarf and threw it to the floor as if it would burn her. We need to get out of here. But as she turned, the lantern flickered. The shadows in the room stretched unnaturally, twisting and shifting. Then, a whisper. Did you miss me? Aisha whirled, her breath ragged. The room was empty. Malik stepped in front of her protectively, his breathing harsh. Who's there? He demanded. No answer. Then, the lantern went out. Darkness swallowed them whole. Aisha clutched Malik's arm, her body rigid. The silence pressed against her ears, suffocating, unbearable. And then, footsteps. Slow. Measured. Right behind them. Aisha couldn't move. Couldn't scream. She felt it, someone standing behind her. Close enough that she could feel the air shift. Then came the unmistakable sensation of fingers grazing her shoulder. She yelped, stumbling forward into Malik's chest. He gripped her tightly, pulling her toward the doorway. We are leaving. Now. They rushed into the living room, Aisha's breath coming in sharp gasps. Malik grabbed the nearest candle and struck a match. As the flame ignited, they both turned toward the staircase. And there, standing at the top, was Fatima. Or rather, what was left of her. Her figure was shadowed, her dress flowing unnaturally as if caught in an unseen wind. Her eyes, hollow and endless, locked onto Aisha's. A smile curled on her lips, slow and deliberate. She shouldn't be here. She had left. She had left. And yet, here she was. Auntie Aisha, she murmured, tilting her head. Did you think it would be that easy? Thank you for watching. Did the story remind you of anyone? Please hit the subscribe button, share this story with someone, like the video and tell me about your thoughts in the comment section.